everybody. Welcome to this week's ChannelTech VideoCast. I am your host, Charlene O'Hanlon with the Bar Guy, and I'm here as I am all the time with my co-host, Diane Krakora, CEO of PartnerPath. Diane, how are you?
Good morning, Charlene. I'm very happy to be back in the very warm California, away from that
sure.
very frigid East Coast.
I know, but you know what? It's going to be in the 70s today, so go figure.
It was 29 as a high when I left Boston.
Yeah, well, sorry that you had to deal with that, but not really. So, sorry, not sorry. Well, I'm glad you're back too, and I'm sure you're a little jet lagged, but tell us why you were in Boston.
We had a really great channel executive roundtable in Boston. We have our one in California this Friday. So last Friday, we gathered 10 channel executives from small companies as well as large companies, just to discuss really partner program trends, opportunities and challenges, what's going on in their world as we approach 2016.
Oh, wow. That sounds like it would have been a great conversation. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall for that one. So.
Yes, we promised no media so that they could speak freely. There were some competitors in the room, and they did speak very freely. It's a nice, great way for them to kind of come together with their peers and not feel crazy. I think, as they said, "Hey, I'm not crazy."
Yeah. It's always nice to feel validated that way, I'm sure. So, what did you? I know you can't really. You have to protect your sources, and I totally understand that, but. Can you give us just kind of a quick takeaway from the conversations that were going on?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. We can talk about, there's really three themes that emerged in our conversation. We started with cloud. You and I have been talking about cloud for how long now, Charlene?
Forever.
So we got that one off the table really quickly. And I think the biggest things, or the biggest ahas on the cloud conversation, was really still in this transformation idea from VAR to cloud service provider. But really, everybody's seeing this intermediary stop at MSP and managed service provider. And they all could really sink their teeth into managed services, offering managed services through their partners, and really being able to have programs, et cetera, and engagement models for managed services. So in that whole cloud conversation, we kind of decided to take a pause at MSP rather than continuing to try to talk about transition to cloud.
So kind of using MSP as a stepping stone then, or because to me, cloud services and managed services are two completely different tracks. So are they looking at them as kind of one precedes the other, or you have to be one in order to be successful at another, or what's the thinking there?
It was more in the transition from a traditional VAR. Mm-hmm. And how are these vendors helping their partners transition from a traditional VAR into more cloud, and really feeling that their first step of helping them transition was into offering managed services and as a managed service provider, rather than kind of trying to make the whole swing into a full cloud offering or a cloud provider. So they're using it as a stepping stone, even though, as you do say, they're two different things. It's like first get partners to engage and provide things as a service, mm-hmm. before you kind of go into the whole idea of provisioning and microbilling, et cetera. Interesting.
I would have thought it would actually kind of be the other way around, because of the business model of a managed services provider. To me, that means that they have some sort of infrastructure in place to be able to provide these services, whereas a cloud service provider doesn't necessarily have to have that infrastructure. It's kind of a pipeline thing for them.
Yeah, and it just seemed to be that the conversation was more focused on, well, how do we get our partners, to sell services? So from traditional resell hardware, software, to selling services, even their own services, professional services, and then kind of moving into offering a SaaS solution or something as a service, even as a resell model, but offering it as a service, and then managed services before they even kind of tackle this whole big picture of cloud.
So not managed services in the traditional sense, then.
Some managed services, particularly managed desktops, laptops, kind of that managing the hardware on an outsourced basis.
Okay, all right, interesting.
So we spent a fair amount of time talking about cloud and what does it mean and what are we talking about in cloud. Talking cloud, hey. Is that one of your things? And then we really transitioned into talking about numbers or metrics or data. And even though the majority of the room were executives, vice presidents of their organizations, they were still looking at what numbers do I need to be able to sell this up to my C-suite around having patience with the partner ecosystem and continuing to make investments in it. So we really talked about those numbers. And some of the numbers that were more relevant is I think the entire group agreed that it wasn't how many partners in my ecosystem, that number we've lived at for a long time, that needed to go away as kind of a metric of the impact or the partner ecosystem. And we were looking at different measurements like individuals engaged in your downloading content and registering deals, not just companies, but actually individuals.
Wow, that's kind of interesting too. I mean, you know, it's always been, as you said, a metric of how successful a channel partner program and a vendor is how many partners do they have and how many do they want to acquire and when do they reach critical mass and things like that. So, you know, it sounds like it's becoming more of a quality rather than quantity conversation.
Yes, and the individual idea kept kind of coming through as a theme. It's what percentage of the people within a partner are engaged with you. You can't just say that you've got, 4,000 partners if you only have one individual in each one of those 4,000. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean you're gaining traction or really starting to scale and gain mind share. So they're really looking at how many people are engaging and particularly downloading content and registering opportunities, which means that they have to track that in their systems.
Okay, so does that have anything to do with maybe partner readiness or partner enablement or training these guys to be able to offer their technology or is there any sort of direct correlation there?
You are such a straight guy. I would say that you would read my blog, but I haven't written it yet on this topic. So the third thing that this kind of individual conversation went to was almost individual readiness. And we really started to kind of get wrapped around a readiness by role as one aspect of it. And the first question we had to the group was, what is enablement? And there was some fidgeting and some white blank faces and some stares off into the ceiling, like, don't call on me to define what enablement is.
It's like high school all over again, right?
Don't call me. And we kind of backed that down and really defined that, we were going to talk about readiness. And that an organization's readiness for what would need to be defined by each vendor, and also well communicated. We had a lot of energy around how do you communicate to the rest of your organization as a vendor what a partner can do and what they cannot do when they are ready.
Interesting. So it sounds like the rules of engagement are going to be changing to reflect more about, reflect more of the channel partners' individual expertise. So does this mean that the one-size-fits-all channel program is going away?
It looks in our future that the one-size-fits-all channel program is going away, and there will be more individual, and not only when there is an individual, but also by partner readiness. Right? Are they ready for sales? Are they ready as a marketing organization? Are they post-sales? Are they pre-sales technical? Right? There's various kind of, as we mentioned, by role, And organizations may adopt readiness, the partners may adopt readiness as in kind of different situations. The smaller guys may not ever become marketing ready, so they can only take campaigns that have been bundled by the vendor, for example. Where larger organizations may cross readiness across all of each of the roles in their organization.
Interesting.
It's going to add interesting complexity.
Yeah, I'm thinking the wheels are spinning up here. Because obviously the current channel programs kind of tick on those boxes, but they really don't go deep. At least the ones that I'm familiar with. There may be some out there that really do are that forward thinking, and I just don't know about them. But it seems to me that with this type of model, the marketing organization at a vendor company, the channel account managers or partner account managers, those guys that are more frontline with the channel partners are going to be even more critical to the success of the channel partners.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In terms of, we had this conversation, was that last week or the week before, about the people being very important, and those channel account managers, that front line of engaging with the partners, and really being able to communicate to your entire organization as a vendor what partners are ready at what kind of roles. And what does that mean? If you say they are ready at a sales core level, that what can they do? Can they go on a sales call by themselves? Can they go with you? Can they handle the transaction? So what does sales at a core level of readiness versus sales at an advanced level readiness mean? And as long as you can get your entire organization to kind of understand what the partner can as well as they cannot do at each stage of readiness.
Interesting. I find the whole conversation fascinating when you think about the way the channel programs are now, and the fact that these folks who you were speaking with obviously understand that it's changing. It has to change in order for them and their partners to survive and thrive.
Yeah, and we ended up in the same space that we started at, and we also talked kind of this readiness transitions to different types of partners, and that there will be a different readiness expectation on a VAR versus an MSP versus a cloud provider, and then that the one size fits all in terms of is a partner ready or enabled is going to go away as we go forward. That you have different expectations across partner type, across solution type, and certainly across the roles each organization may play for you.
So was there any sort of timeline that was, obviously this isn't going to be happening overnight, but and it's going to take a while for everything to happen, but do you have any thoughts or were there any kind of timelines bandied about we're talking 5 years down the road or 2 years down the road or 6 months or?
Well, I think from the conversations, we had some very small, nimble organizations there, as well as some very large organizations in the room, and the smaller, more nimble ones, I think, or even the more innovative vendors will be putting these things in place, not necessarily for 2016, because you kind of already have to have them scoped out and being driven by now into the field, but they're going to be making those plans for 2017. So I think the soonest we'll see kind of more individualized readiness will be in 2017.
So as kind of a trigger for that, or a flag, if you will, maybe we'll see more hiring in marketing organizations within vendors, channel account managers, or looking for those folks with a different skill set than traditionally have been, that has been needed by the vendor.
Yeah, I think we'll see, the enablement and the enablement activities extend throughout the vendor organization, so that everybody in the vendor organization will be responsible for enabling partners, because you're going to be responsible for enabling them kind of within that role, support roles, services roles, marketing roles, et cetera. And how do you get those partners ready to do battle in those spaces.
Well, it will be interesting to hear if, since you're having another one of these roundtables on Friday, it will be interesting to hear what's happening on the left coast and what those guys and gals have to say. And then maybe next week we can kind of do a little comparison conversation about, you know, whether these two groups of folks are kind of, you know, aligned with their thinking, or if there's something completely different happening over there than is happening over here. So
over here and over there, yeah.
Over there and over here.
We have another group of 12 channel executives coming this Friday. Google's hosting for us this Friday. Kaspersky hosted it in their facilities out in Woburn last Friday. And we're very excited about the conversation on Friday morning to see kind of what bubbles up for these guys out here on the West Coast.
Well, I'm interested in hearing about it too. So we'll definitely take a walk through that next week. But I would love to hear, both of us would love to hear what you have to say about the evolving channel partner programs, and just about any topic that we've covered on the channel partner, or sorry, the ChannelTech VideoCast so far. Also love to hear ideas for topics that you'd like us to talk about. So feel free to use that comments box below, and don't be shy. Comment early and often, I guess.
Kind of like voting, early and often.
Exactly, exactly. You can also comment over on the PartnerPath website, which is www.partner-path.com. And unless you've got something else to say, Diane, thank you very much.
Nope, I'll see you next week with more updates from our channel executive roundtables.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to it. Until then, this is Charlene O'Hanlon, and I'm signing off. See you later.